Hey everybody, Kai here. Just before you listen to this, I want y'all to know that we chatted for over 4 hours and the recorded Skype call was 2.5 hours long. This has been cut down severely and timestamps are in the description below. If you really want to skip ahead to the straight competition talk, skip to this time shown on screen. Lastly, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I post weekly Strongman videos. Hey everybody, what's up? My name is Kai. I'm the Nerd of Strength, and this is the third episode of the Nerd of Strength podcast. And I'm here with my good friend Will, who, if you watch the last episode, you might remember as the Floridian Stonemaker.
Yes, Florida's
today,
best stonemaker.
Yes, Florida's best stonemaker. And if you guys haven't checked that episode out just yet, go and watch that after you watch this one. So today we're going to be doing a recap on WUS Dubai, aka the world's ultimate strongman show that just happened over the past 2 days on October 24th and October 25th. So what were your thoughts right out of the gate? What was your overall thoughts about the show?
So probably, if you want overall thoughts, we'll just go with pros and cons, right?
Yep.
And we would be comparing it to other shows of similar, I'm going to say the word value. That may not be the right word, but what I mean by that is international competitions for the top level strongmen with the best in the world actually being present.
Yes.
Now, obviously we had guys like Lyses and Thor and even Janasha did have to drop out due to injuries, or I would say chose not to participate because of injuries.
Yep.
Barring that kind of stuff, I would say that it is one of the best put on shows, if not the best put on show in the world. Right up there with Arnold's. I believe Arnold's is still the top dog because they apparently treat the athletes very well. They treat the crowd very well. They are very well organized, or at least they seem like they are. And they are good about everything from the equipment to the broadcasting of the event. And WUS, World's Ultimate Strongman, knocks all of those and does even better in some categories. Now, cons. The live stream, which I paid for, and intelligent way of doing a live stream in terms of cost, because my original theory was it would basically be so cheap that anybody with even kind of a glancing interest in strongman would be like, hell yeah, what the hell's $2? You know what I mean? Or $3, whatever it was.
Yep.
You know, yeah, I'll pay $3 for lifetime, access to this cool thing. Why not? I forget what another person's theory was, but they had another good theory. I think their theory was basically that because it was one of the first times they were doing it, they weren't very confident in their abilities, so they didn't want to sort of oversell it, which I thought was a fine theory as well. And then the other theory that somebody had was, I'm not going to pirate this, if I only have to pay $2. And that's true. If you make something so cheap that it's just easier to just buy the damn thing than to steal it, guess what? People are going to buy it 9 times out of 10. And I believe that's what's going to happen here. That being said, I paid for a live stream, and the live stream was janky at best. Most of the time I was experiencing it. And then I would also say the turnaround time was a little annoying. So with Arnold's, they live streamed the thing basically for free. I think there might be ads playing. I don't know. I have YouTube Premium, so there's no ads when I watch it. And it's immediately when the event is over, the video's up.
Yep.
And then later on, they put up an edited version for people to watch. That wasn't the case here. When they finished one live stream section, it took a couple hours for the actual stream to go back on to be able to be rewatched.
Yes. And as far as I know, it wasn't 720 yet.
It
I
didn't
don't know
look
if it
that.
is. I don't know if it is right now, but last time I checked, it was still only the 540p.
So when I checked, because I was rewatching one of the log lifts just earlier this morning, and I'll admit I was on my phone, but my phone is on my Wi-Fi, which is good. It was still pretty grainy looking, essentially like watching a VHS with pixels.
Yep. I just double checked. It's still 540.
And that's, I mean, honestly, if I'm paying for something like I said, Rogue is putting it out in 4K, the Arnolds, for free, 4K,
Yep.
and they're talking about doing 8K in the future, very near future. You know what I mean? And it's like, I look at Arnold's and I'm like, you fools! I would have paid for this. You know what I mean? And then WUS is actually charging for it, and I only say specifically the streaming part is an inferior product right now, and I
Yeah.
feel very comfortable saying that, and I don't think that's a very controversial opinion at this moment.
No. Yeah, they on on the first day with the deadlift, they tried 720 and it kept stuttering like crazy, so they had to downscale it to 540, which if you're watching on a phone, fine, whatever, but if you're trying to watch on like a TV or a laptop, it's like what the fuck?
Right.
So,
Speaking of
hopefully that
deadlift,
can be better.
I,
Hopefully the streaming can be better in the future or they'll get uploads
right.
whenever to 720. I would prefer 1080, but 720,
At least
hopefully
that's
that
HD.
shows up in the next week.
Yeah, at least 720 is HD at that point.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, speaking of just like details that I love that I feel they do better than anybody else, I loved that idea of the 3D pictures during the
Hmm.
deadlift. I thought it looked cool. It was kind of silly some of the moments they choose to capture and show, but that idea of having that panoramic and turning it into a 3D photograph snapshot, I think that is awesome. I think other people need to steal that idea and use it too. I thought it was great. Um, I think the awards for this competition are some of the sickest looking awards I've ever seen. Now, granted, they are just based off of rain, the
Yeah.
knight's helmet, but it's still cool looking. Um, and because the Arnold's is what, the Sandow, right?
Yes.
So I mean, who doesn't love Sandow Trophy too? But um, I thought that trophies were really cool looking too for this particular one, and I felt like doing a 10 stone run just to be different was really cool. Um, I like that they use the particular brand of products they use, Stand or Submit, I think it's called.
Yes. Yep. Stand submit.
Those guys, I mean, that's. I feel like they are one of the best, if not the best, strongman equipment manufacturers, just based on looks. I've never actually touched any of their stuff, but I've seen their stones used worldwide. I've seen their yoke. I think looks sick. I've seen their farmers handles. I think those look really sick too. I think a lot of their strongman, and they specifically do strongman stuff. Rogue makes strength equipment. You know what I mean? And they
Yep.
dabble in strongman. These guys only do strongman shit. And I think they're the best, and I think using them is a really good move for WUS.
I also think it just also might be about cost because Australia is closer than like Rogue is. Rogue's here in the States, so the less they have to travel, the less money. And I think Wuss did a lot of behind the scenes stuff very well. Like you said, the 360 cam, the stand up submit stuff, and the way they treat the athletes is good. The 360 on the deadlift looks cool, but I would replace the 360 cams if we can straight up get 720 or 1080 without stuttering. Like
Yes,
if that's the trade off, I'd rather have the 1080 versus 360 cam.
yes,
Cause I'm like DSLR cameras, like I don't know how many they have, 20, 30 cameras in a row going off. I'm like, first off, that's just expensive, but I'm just like, this probably can't be good for the stream, but to differentiate themselves, that's pretty cool.
I mean, it obviously didn't have a lot to do with it because they weren't using them during the other events, and those were still
Nope.
shit. That was still shit streaming. So, I I think we could both be happy. I think they could bump up the streaming and still keep the cool cameras.
Yeah. I it was one point because I was also like texting you while we were watching it and like
Right.
being on the Strongman Reddit. It was just like at one point I'm just like, so they have this sweeping camera and they're not gonna fucking use it. I'm just like, okay, cool, cool. Send me out there. I'll film for free.
Oh
Just put me
yeah.
up in a hotel. Come
Oh yeah.
on.
Just let me hang out with the VIPs. Did you see the fucking VIPs they had? They had couches right next to the event.
Right?
How cool is that? Like, I'll say that about like Dubai. I've seen a lot of stuff happen in Dubai in terms of events, not like, not real stuff. I'm talking like sporting
Yeah.
events, things like that. They know how to treat a fucking guest, okay? Like, holy shit. And I love it because that's the way it should be. It's like, I'm giving you stupid money, treat me like royalty. And they're like, watch me.
Outside of the show, the best part was watching on the vlogs and all the Instagram videos of everybody just having so much fun.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
usually at Worlds, it's like, oh yeah, we're hanging out on the beach having fun. And your experience is what you make it and how you spend your time. But you could tell like there was like a lot to do. No offense to Florida, well, at least to you, but like, what the fuck was there to do in like a podunk town in Florida besides go to the beach? These
Fucking,
guys went to malls and had camel rides and
oh, yeah.
air balloons and traveled and went to infinity pools. I'm like, shit, okay.
I'm still catching up. I want to catch up with all of Lawrence's Lawrence's videos. He had like 3 or 4 he did, but they were all like 30 minutes apiece. And it's like, I don't have time to sit here and watch all these, Lawrence, but I want to watch them because I know it's going to be cool. And I have, in the past 2 weeks, I've always liked Lawrence Chalet as a competitor, and I've loved him as a strong man with a mouth, because that's who I see myself being in a few years when I'm actually a competitive strongman. when I'm not the guy coming in last place all the time. I
Mhm.
see myself being that guy who's kind of loud and makes noise. And in the last 2 weeks, I have gained so much more respect for him as a like vlogger or like a video guy. You know what I mean? Because he was talking about WUS, and he was talking about. I watched the video. He was talking about, just to touch on a little bit, Arnold's in Spain, and he said the real shit about Brian, which I appreciated because like Brian Shaw fan, you know what I mean? But like when Brian said that shit about like his diet being the problem, I was like, B, I'm old enough to remember when you couldn't get Stan Efferding's dick out of your mouth. You were hyping up the goddamn vertical diet like it was the second coming. And now you don't even talk about it. Like it was just another part of your life, I guess. And now you're all on the guy you were originally with, Stick, whose name I can't remember. Pro Body.
Nathan Payton.
Yeah, yeah. I knew his Instagram handle. But a lot of guys in Florida are actually working with him now too. Um, but I'm like, Brian, I'm old enough to remember that. Like, don't 1984 me, bro. Just come clean and be like, look, I think it might be my diet that is what's slowing me down. But I also think it could be these other factors. Like, don't, because I'm old enough to remember when you first got on the vertical diet and it was, you had a cooler up your ass. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
don't 1984 me, bro. I don't like that kind of shit. And Lawrence said the same thing. Like, he says it could be his diet, which, it could very well be his diet, but it's still really weird to not see Brian Shaw on a podium. You know?
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite moments, and I'll skip ahead, and then we'll do the smart thing, and we'll do like by events, right? But I got to
Mhm.
get this out because I feel like I'm going to forget it if I don't mention it. I knew Eddie Hall and Brian Shaw were good friends, and in the sport of strongman, there's a camaraderie amongst competitors as long as you look like you're working hard. And this is specifically local level. As long as you look like you're working hard, you will get the respect that you deserve for being out there. If you're one of the whiny bitches who's complaining about every little thing, and I mean the really whiny bitches where it's like, oh, the judge isn't giving me my reps. Motherfucker, it's probably because you're not locking them out. You know what I mean? But there's a camaraderie. And I think when you get to a certain level, you can't help but have camaraderie because it's like, you're the only other asshole here that could possibly even push me. So naturally, I love you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like local level, maybe it's just like I just want the trophy. I'm not gonna beat anybody's head about it. But um, when Brian was going to start the Stones, and Eddie Hall said, "Hey, I have to go. Brian needs a hand," and he went up there and helped Brian with his tacky and his towel, wiped his face off, said, go get it, and then went back and started announcing. I was like, right there, that was like, that's a big moment to me. Because, you know, that's Eddie Hall, an announcer, got up from his desk and walked over to a competitor and helped him with his equipment. Like, that's cool shit right there. I like that shit. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
I absolutely enjoyed the camaraderie between him, Eddie and Brian. But my favorite was definitely like Mateusz and Martins. Just
Yes.
I feel really bad that I guess spoilers for whoever hasn't watched the entire show yet, but Mateusz tore his bicep. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if it's completely off the bone or whatnot, but he was asking Martins, "What should I do?" And then he also asked Big Z. He asked the legend himself, "What should I do here?" Because he's still young. He basically between our age. He's 25. No,
He's younger than that. I think he's
20.
23 or 24.
No, he's not that. He got to his first worlds at 23. No, he's 27. Sorry,
Oh, is
he's
he?
20. Yeah, she's 27 because Martins is 29. But anyway, he's still young, and it's just like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I really like that because at first when he first got to Worlds, he was like the quiet one, the assassin. I was like, ooh, what's this guy about, you know? And then like, we see him coming out of his shell and hanging out with Martins, and like, you know, I don't know if he's introverted. I can't speak for him, but seeing him, the camaraderie between like, especially like the younger guys, makes me smile. I texted my friend. I don't think you met her in Florida because she didn't go the third day. I dragged her down to Florida with me to go to see Worlds,
As you
and
do.
she didn't like it, but she's like, I like the Polish guy because one of her friends helped me learn Polish, and she's like, I like the Polish guy. I wish he would smile more. And I was like, he smiled, and she was so happy. I was like, he won his first, major
Right.
big Worlds international title. And he's like, yay. I was like, the little things like that I love.
Well, I remember Anthony Furman, La Flama Blanca. He posted on the WUS picture with where Mateus is smiling, and Anthony was like, "Why is Mateus smiling?" And everyone's like, "He just won, blah blah." And then he's like, "Y'all don't know Mateus. If he's smiling, there's some devilish shit going on."
Right.
And I was like, that's kind of what I thought too. I was like, I agree. I'm like, I'm scared when he smiles, like, cause I ran up to him after Worlds and he got in second place, fucking second place. I mean, the man always, to be a bridesmaid there is no easy feat anyway. But like, I was like, hey man, you did great out there. And he's like, yeah, I did okay. I make some mistakes, And I'm like, dude, you're fucking second place at Worlds. But that's just the kind of guy he is, and I get it. I mean, hell, anybody who's been competitive, and I'm not even going to pretend I'm near their level, but anybody who's been that competitive, I know it's like when you screwed up and you screwed up, it's hard to let that shit go because it sticks with you. And I think that's part of the reason why Brian is so meticulous with shit because I think he still remembers, what was it, 2009 or whatever, 2008, when he dropped that fucking sandbag.
10,
10,
2010.
2010. He would be a 5-time champ if it wasn't for that fucking sandbag. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
was an
he still
interesting event.
remembers it. If
Oh
I
yeah.
still remember it, he remembers it. And I think that's part of the reason why he's so meticulous with everything now. Because he doesn't want to make a stupid little mistake like that.
Yep. How could you? Novikov's, I feel, is the same way. He bobbled that stone at Worlds, which kicked him out of the finals, and I feel like now he's just like so cautious on stones. Like he didn't get all 10 stones. I thought he was going to, but
Yeah.
and it's weird because he has like I think the world's records on like an Atlas stone. I think what is it at the Arnold South Africa? He shouldered it for 5.
Wow.
So it's just like I don't know if it's a mental thing, but Novikov,
Yeah.
he's younger than me. He's 23.
Yes,
So.
yes. Novikov's who I was thinking of. Yeah, he's 23. Yeah.
So it's
Freak.
definitely a mental thing.
What a freak. They're all freaks, but like to be 23 and like to be 23 and be giving Brian Shaw, Hafthor Bjornsson, Martins Lisis a run for their money, like that's a freak right there. You know what I mean? And the other pillars of strongman that were hanging out, Radzikowski, Kilzakowski, or Radzikowski, who's the other guy? Who's the Russian?
Shivlikov.
Shivlikov, all those guys were out there too. Heinla and Caron and giving them a run for their money. That's some big dick energy right there.
Right.
I know
He's
too many
young
brothers.
and he has a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, I was talking to Anthony actually about that, and Anthony was like, "That dude's a freak." And I was like, "Anthony, you're a freak." He's like, "No, I'm just a regular dude who works hard." He's like, "That dude's a freak." And I was like, "All right, Anthony, you're both freaks." And he's like, "Nah, he's a freak."
Dude, Novikov competes like every weekend, and it's like, what the fuck? Every weekend,
I did deadlifts 2 weeks ago. I'm still feeling
right? It's like
it.
he had won like the 105s right
Yeah,
before going to WUS. So I was just like, jeez, man. But the taste was like that too. It's so interesting. Like 10 years ago, there was like just Worlds and like the Arnolds, and now there's a pro show with like big all time, big name pros competing like
yes.
at least once a month now. So it's just like, are we getting to the point where everybody's like gonna burn themselves out, or it's like you got to be more choosy about
Yeah.
what you just where you decide to compete.
And then if it was me, I would only compete at Arnold's and Wuss.
I mean, that's basically what Brian does. He does Worlds, Arnold's, Wuss.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even compete at Worlds. It's a shit show compared to the other two.
Hey, but it's a title thing. You know,
Yeah. Well, it's a what's
saying I'm
that?
the world's ultimate strongman is so wordy, or saying I'm the Arnold champ is wordy. But to a layman, I'm the world's strongest man.
Yeah. Well, what was that quote somebody threw around while I was at Worlds? They said you go to Worlds to become famous. You go to Arnold's to be a strongman.
I
And I was
like
like,
that.
damn. But it's kind of true. I mean, Worlds is a bit of a lighter show, and it's actually on TV, and which Arnold's was on TV too. But like, it's not the world's strongest man,
Hmm.
and they own that title. But honestly, I'm very excited to see the competition in between the top level international shows. I think WUS is the kick in the pants that Worlds needs, and if Worlds doesn't step the fuck up and start doing things better,
Hmm.
then I mean, people like me, I'm gonna not follow it as closely as I did before. I'll use it as basically just to run my brackets. Like, oh, okay, that guy did this, that guy did this. All right, maybe
It's
I'll
a
accept
great
it.
show to find new talent because
Yes.
they that's the goal of Worlds, to look more diverse and to get more dudes who may not necessarily be the strongest, but to feel
Yeah.
like a TV quota. We have dudes from Australia and dudes from Germany and Norway, and
Right. Right.
well, then you learn about those guys and you end up following those guys and learning more about that.
Or
So
hell, even Americans you wouldn't have heard of. What's the guy? He was America's Strongest Man. He's a young kid too, 20 something years old.
Trey Mitchell, yeah,
Trey Mitchell. Yeah, Mitchell. I mean, he was at America's Strongest Man and barely lost out the title. I think to I can't
Claiborne,
really get. Huh?
Wesley Claiborne.
Claiborne, yeah, which is no shame in that. I'll tell you that.
Uh,
Um,
is Wesley the one going to Arnold's this year? I think he won the amateurs.
I
You
think you might be right. I'm a little rusty on that deep strongman lore.
know, there's so much shows. It's hard to follow everybody. I'm
I
like,
know.
I'm just
Well,
gonna follow the pros.
I took your advice on one of your videos. You had said to check out the Strongman Champions League,
Hmm.
and a guy from here, from Florida, he was Florida's strongest man last year. Nils something. He's actually competed over there twice now in the Strongman Championships League, and I'm like, that's cool. That's good for him, man. But it's just so weird because it's like it was sort of like when Anthony was on that on the Titan games. It was like
Yeah.
a what the fuck moment for me because even more so for him. But like I knew Anthony Furman. Like, and I was when I was texting this weekend, he was like, just some guy, and I was like, oh, don't get me wrong, dude, you're still just Tony from the block to me, but like,
Mhm.
but it's true, he is. He's just Tony from the block. I knew him when he was like a kind of pudgy 260 pounder who was working his way up. You know what I mean? And then now he's 231 world champ and on the Titan games, but it was the same thing when I saw Nils. You know, he was following me on Instagram for the longest time, and we finally met at Florida's, and I introduced myself, and we were chatting a little bit, and then saw him at another show, and the next thing I know, he's over there competing in somewhere in Europe on the Championships League, and I was like, that's so cool to see, guys I know out there, but
Yeah.
nobody would know his name if he didn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's also about, putting yourself out there. It's definitely like Worlds is for a title. You're right. Worlds is to put your name out there. Like
Well,
I wouldn't be following like Christensen and like Schmuck Stellas and like a couple other dudes if it wasn't for like World showing those guys. But again,
right.
I'm also weird and I watch SCL, which people are like, you know, I like it.
And I made this joke a few times, but it's true. And I made the joke because some of my coworkers, I guess they announced the most beautiful woman in the world recently. Like scientifically, she's the most beautiful because she has like the perfect mirror.
Symmetric face.
Yeah, right. So they're like most beautiful woman. And I was like, I'll tell you what, man. There's some chick in a cave in like Cambodia who is way more beautiful than her. You know what I mean? But that's how Strongman is too. I guarantee you, there's some freak living in a cave in the Siberian desert, and who he's just like literally Zangief is out there, and like would decimate everybody at all of these events. You know what I mean? But he just doesn't compete, so you never heard of him.
Yep.
Nobody's heard of him. He's a myth. You know. But that's how
And
that stuff happens.
And roundabout, taking it back to WUS, I mean, that's what they want to do with their qualifiers next year. Try and get more different internationals to compete at WUS instead of just like Europe and like part of Scandinavia and like the Americas. So
and Iron
step in the
Biby
right
holds it
direction.
down.
Exactly. Iron Biby holding it down, which I've said this on Reddit. They need to put Biby in their incubator program next. They already did Larry Wheels. They did Tom Stoltman.
Yeah.
They should do Biby next because, and everybody says this about Biby. If Biby can get out of his backyard gym and train with other strongmen, he can be unstoppable. If they fix his cardio and get his technique, because he's a lot of just raw brute strength. If
He's
they
like
can
Eddie
fix
Hall.
his exactly, if he could fix his technique, he'd be breaking log records. And I'd hate to see Z's record fall, but he could break that record with some proper training and some proper cardio. And he just seems like a really nice dude. So I wish the best for Biby.
Records are meant to be broken, and not for nothing. Z's records has stood for what, like 10 years now, I think.
Yep.
I mean, it's been up there forever, and the closest people get is like 480, I think. You know what I mean? And I have no problem with seeing that record fall. I just see no problem with any record falling. You know, that's what they're for. They're supposed to be broken. We're supposed to be pushing it more and more and more. And I think Iron Biby is 100% between him, and I'm very excited to see what's his name. Help me out here. British Graham Hicks.
Graham Hicks. Yep.
He's working with Thor's trainer now, I think. Yeah. He's working with the Australian strength coach, Sebastian Oreb. He's working with him now, and I mean, my God, that name a more iconic duo. I'll wait. You know what I mean? Like those two together. I mean, because Graham Hicks is already
Britain's strongest man.
He's already a very incredible competitor, and I think Sebastian working with him could make him world class. I mean, he was already a freak on the log, and I mean, what Thor has managed to do, because Thor winning and just stomping what was that last year?
Yep.
That wasn't just everybody else being off their game a little bit. He was on another level. And once he gets healthy again, I expect him to go right back to being at the pinnacle.
2020 is going to be interesting.
You know, he is the new standard as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
And that's coming out of the mouth of a huge Brian Shaw fan. I think Thor is the new standard. Like between his static lifts going to what they became and have become, and the fact that he still managed to keep his agility. A freak beast. So I think we should talk about the deadlift quickly at WUS.
Yeah.
What a surprising fucking event.
I think Terry Holland said it best. He's like, we're at a time where everybody's able to pull 400 as a starter.
Yes.
And 10 years ago, that was a world record.
Yes.
And that just shows how far the sport has come and everybody has come. And I think that's great. And quick shout out to Iron Biby because his luggage got not lost, but it came late. So I think he pulled that 400 without a suit. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, but I think he pulled without a suit. And I didn't think his deadlift was that good, so he surprised me.
Yeah, yeah. Things about deadlift. My notable things. First and foremost, Rauno Heinle, you freak. Like I watched him deadlift at I think it was Arnold's in the one they do in California,
The Santa Monica, yeah.
the Santa Monica last year, I want to say, and I remember watching the deadlifts there, and it was Lises was doing it to qualify. That was the only reason I was even checking it out, I think. And I was watching it, and he was deadlifting mid nines, and I was like, "Oh shit! Check out Rana Hagla." And I remembered that name on top of the fact that he's got a very, very unique look. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Is he missing an eye, or what's the story there? Do you know?
I have no idea, but it's definitely like the squint.
Yeah,
Around the
he's got the
squint.
one eye. I don't know if it's some sort of palsy thing going on, or well, that would be his whole face, I guess, right? It looks like he's missing an eye. He's got a very, very remarkable look to him. You know what I mean?
He
And he looks
definitely
like a
looks
strong.
different from the when he was in Worlds in 2011. It's like almost unrecognizable.
Yes, he's got the strongman look now, where he's got
Yeah.
gigantic gut and like big shoulders, and he just looks like a big dude. You know what I mean? And then the fact that he pulled, what did he pull? Nine.
He
What was
pulled
it in America?
four. I don't know, man.
Tell me what was the kilos?
He pulled 450.
So that's close in American in real weight. That's 990.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's like 997 or 996 or something like that.
So he's
Yeah,
very close to the 1,000 pound club.
yeah, and I mean,
If
my
he's not
God.
already there, because he said he's like, oh, he had 20 more kilos in him.
Oh, I mean, everybody saw the way the flew. They got better as he was going. His four whatever 430 or four whatever looked better than his first lift.
Right?
And then for the big surprise of that event has got to be Brian Shaw not even getting third in that event was
No, he plays with what, 5 dudes on 400?
yes. Now when I watched his video, because I was like, what the fuck? I thought he was sick or something, but right when he said it and he started talking about it, he said, yeah, I'm still recovering from that hamstring tear from Arnold's. And I was like, oh shit, that didn't even click in my head because watch his videos. Yeah, he isn't pulling 900 pounds from the floor. He is pulling that from mid shin. And it didn't even occur to me, like, yeah, he still hasn't fully recovered from that and gotten his power off the floor yet. Like, wow, okay, that totally makes sense.
I think instead of because he went for 420, he missed 420. He should have, in my opinion, should have gone for 410. But
Yes.
I guess the mindset is he's saving himself for his max, and I get that. But because he missed that 420, he ended up tying with, let me see, one, two, three, four, five, six guys.
Yes.
7 guys ended with 400. So that was surprising. If he would have got the 410, he would have had 410 by himself, and that would have put him over 6 guys, and that would have did a lot better for him points wise.
That's
But
the
what can you
interesting
do?
thing, right, about strongman is like sometimes it's better to lift less rather than tying with 4 or 5 or 6 other people, especially in a competition when you have that many people. Like
Mhm.
in Worlds, that's one thing I'll give it. Worlds and obviously in Arnold's, it's usually just 10 or so guys. So the point splits there are very I don't want to say seldom, but when they happen, it's usually only 2 people.
Yep.
You know, in a competition when you got 12, what do they have? 13 people,
14.
14 people. You're at a very, very interesting moment where you could more than likely have 5 people tie one event, and in that case, it's better to to be lower than them. If they all did, let's just say they all did 1 rep on the log, or okay, let's say 2 reps on the log. At that point, if I know I can't get 3, I might as well just get 1 because I'm still going to be better than all those guys. You
Yeah,
know what I
shit,
mean?
getting a whole point instead of half the point. Point and a
Exactly, or
half.
a sixth of a point. It's better.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how that played out. Other noticeable things. So we can finally stop saying Mateus is a bad deadlifter, right? We can all
Yes, and
stop
I
with
was
this stuff.
so happy. I was like, cheering I was at my doctor's appointment and I had the headphones in and like my phone was in my bag and they're like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm listening to this thing. And I'm just like, yes, get it. Yes, I'm so
Yes.
happy for Fatej. He is
Yes.
going up and up in my favorite strongman every competition.
Oh yeah, I'm loving Maddie, and I refuse to call him anything but that now. I'm calling him Maddie.
Uh,
That's my nickname
According
for him.
to Martins, he's the Polish Titan.
Polish
I
tight.
like
Yeah,
I like the Terminator. That's
yeah.
what they were calling
I
before.
liked it better too. That's why I said, "Fuck it." I'm just gonna call him Maddie
Yeah.
because I can't say his real name that well anyway. So that's Maddie. Maddie's killing it. Um, I think the other thing that I want to say Ronan, was that his name?
Ramen.
Ramen. Yeah, I actually gave him a cooler name. No, I didn't. No disrespect to him. Very surprised. Um, Interesting, and I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like threw my phone at my bed because I'm like, Brian, you just got beat by who?
Yeah, like
Like,
if you just looked at the spreadsheet,
yeah,
seeing Mateusz pull 420 and Brian pulled 400. I'm like, we're in the Twilight Zone. It's like, what? It's like,
some
excuse
guy
me?
who nobody knows from the Middle East just beat you, Brian. Like, so it
Yeah.
was weird. You know, I mean,
I
that was my initial feelings about it. But uh, that dude was like, I don't know if he was in a competition or something with Shivlyakov about who could bleed more.
right?
But like, bro, you won, okay? You won on the first one when your nose opened like a goddamn faucet, okay? Like, holy shit! Like the
I'm
first
just
pull,
like,
it
put
was
him on the Arnolds. Like,
it was just
jeez.
like it was like spraying, and I loved. I know he doesn't do it on purpose. Like you can't purposely bust your nose to bleed, but
Yeah.
I think Shivlyakov did that on purpose on that last one because his first pull he was fine, and then on his last one he gets it up just a little blood. And I'm like, oh, you cheeky fucker, you're doing that on purpose, aren't you? You just can't be outshone on your thing,
Right?
right? Like I'm the
That's
one
my
who
thing.
bleeds. Yeah,
The other things I wrote for notes for this. Karan surprised me. I thought he was gonna be top on that. Messed up my bracket straight out of the gate. I thought he was gonna be the one to win overall. Him and Pritchett.
yeah,
Pritchett did better. He pulled 440, but Karan only pulled 420. And
yeah. You know my
watching Martine's video, he was like, Martine, Romark went to ask him, how was the lift? Karan's first response, not even answering the question, is it's fucking hot. It's fucking hot. And then he's like, oh wait, yeah, it wasn't that good.
yeah.
So I think
Yeah,
that he got to him.
to tangent about Jerry Pritchett for just a minute. Jerry Pritchett could be one of the best American strongmen out there. I mean, in fact, he is. He is one of the best American strongmen out there. But it seems to me every time he's at a international competition, whether it be Arnold's or WUS, I don't recall him being at Worlds ever. Uh,
Sometimes when he stepped away, he did Giants over I think in July. Yeah, he did
yeah,
Giants in July, so now he's qualified for Worlds 2020.
so that'd be cool to see how he actually makes it there. But it seems to me he does moderately well on some static lifts, just above mid pack. And then when it comes to moving events, it's just not that great. And or he gets injured.
Yeah.
You know, he
Same with
seems to have
Radzikovsky.
he has the Lawrence Shaw curse. He just seems to get injured, you know?
The recovery
Right.
time is just I don't know. But at least he didn't tear his hamstring. I don't know what's up with Jerry. Once we get to the log, we'll talk about his bicep maybe being
Yeah,
injured. But
yeah.
other than that, at least his hamstring didn't get.
It held up.
That
Yeah,
seems
yeah,
to be
yeah.
like his biggest weakness is his hamstring hurting.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's all my notes in my head. I'm not smart like you. I didn't wrote anything down. But I
I
think
wrote this.
I think that's all
I
I
wrote till
wrote for
like
the
4 in the
deadlift.
morning. Yeah, Tom Stoltman pulled 430.
Yeah,
Shiv and Pritchett,
Stoltman's.
Shiv and Pritchett pulled 440, and Heinle wins with 450. That was the last thing that I know. Yeah, Tom putting like what I think 20 kilos on his deadlift, and like the amount of time he's been out there training with Woods is phenomenal.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
he was
The
another guy I didn't think was going to place third on that. I thought he was gonna pull like maybe 420 and leave it at that. But pulling
right.
the 430, I was like, okay, here we go.
I saw. I well, and I remember. I told my coworker, because we wrote out some predictions too, and I said, I think you're making a mistake sleeping on the Stoltman when it comes to the stone run. The bigger one. Which one's the bigger one, Luke?
Tom.
I was like, you're sleeping on him if you don't have him top tier for the stone run, because the man's a freak. He's been breaking stone run records for like the last year. That's like literally been his life right now. And I'm like, you're sleeping on him if you don't have him somewhere in the top tiers for that event, And he was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I was like, just because you haven't seen him doesn't mean he ain't working. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I was like, you don't sleep on Tom with that kind of stuff. And when we get to it, holy shit, was I right? But all right, so what? We had the next event was the truck pull, right?
Yep, going on to day 2.
Holy
that truck
Christ,
pull was
Mateus.
Interesting.
I think I'll just start out with that. Holy Christ, Mateus. Is that okay? Can I say that?
Yeah, listen, I don't care.
Can I say Holy Christ, Mateus? My God, his time, just. I'm looking at the chart, 55.9.
Yeah. And it wasn't like the best form either. He was swaying all over the place and everything, but he brute forced it.
He just manhandled it, and wow, you know what I mean? Terry Hollins surprised me only because I knew Terry was a really good truck puller, but I was like, what about now that he's lost all the weight? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And apparently the verdict on that is weight doesn't fucking matter if you're just good at it.
He still got it.
Because, holy shit, he still got it, right?
Man almost died for it. Because he also put out a blog. Because he pulled out after the truck pull. He was like, I feel terrible. I feel like I'm going to die. So
only
that could be like due to heat and pulling or what. But good call for him because he has Masters next weekend.
Yeah. So only 4 people actually even managed to finish the event. On the truck pull, and it was like you said, it was a weird event, and it was obviously a hard event. It was good to see after the deadlift, Brian being one of the few who did finish it.
Yep.
It made me feel good as a Brian fan, and it made me say once again, holy shit, Mateus. Damn.
I was just happy Rads finished and he got second place. Rads, it holds a special place in my heart. I was like, I'm sad he always gets injured. But you know what? At first, I'm like, he's moving slow, but he's keeping a steady pace. He knows what he has to do.
Yeah.
In SCL, there's always a truck pull for the most part. So he has a lot of experience on that.
It was so strange because watching just specifically between Brian and Rads pulling, it almost looked like Brian was doing better.
Yeah.
But then when you see the time difference, it's like it was almost a whole 5 seconds that he was slower by. And it was so strange because Brian looked like he had a much better rhythm. And even getting to the very end where it got tougher, he almost seemed to just still be carrying the same speed. So it was very interesting to see how the times actually measured out. It doesn't always look the same way as it is.
Yeah. Things I noted was that in Martine's video, he mentioned that it was supposed to be unlimited. So there was not supposed to be a time limit. It was just supposed to be go to the finish. But during Luke's run, the referee thought it was supposed to be 75 seconds. So they was like, all right, so I guess we're doing 75 seconds straight up. Because Martine's made a good point. He's like, these guys would be willing to die to do this. And he has a point, because seeing some of those guys, like, the strain on their faces and their bodies and dudes collapsing at the finish line, it's like, he's right. So they after 2 guys went, they then put a 75-second time limit on it, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of shit. I don't like when rules change on the fly like that.
Yeah, that was
for like seemingly arbitrary reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that
was
bad it was just bad communication. That's what it looked like from Martine's video, because it was like unlimited, and then after Luke went, it's like, all right, they thought it was 75, so we're making it 75. And at that point, only Biby went. It was Biby, then Luke.
Yeah.
So that was weird. Also, just want to note that the referees were Big Z and also Ilka Kinnunen, who is like the SCL chairperson.
Yeah.
So he has experience. He was the one who was timing the truck pull. So I don't know why there was a miscommunication there. That was really weird.
So, I've actually got this thing about events in Strongman, the moving ones specifically. This is going to sound weird, but follow me. In relay racing, or when they do 5Ks, they give you a bib that has a chip on it.
Yep.
That can then stop your time right when you pass the finish line. Why the fuck have we not done that in Strongman yet?
I was thinking about that the other day because if you go back to the 90s, like World's Strongest Man, they have like weird implements with like timers and sensors and things
Yeah.
like that. Why has nobody put a timer on a truck yet? Instead of doing handheld stopwatches. That's crazy.
Man, in my opinion, anything that's a half second or smaller, that's human error. You know what I mean? Like, even a second, honestly, I could see being human error. The time to release a thumb from a stopwatch. You know what I mean? Or press it. Like, reaction time matters. And I was like, man, why don't they have like they do there? Like, you could so easily just put a sensor on the part of the truck you want to pass.
Exactly.
Hit go. Like, literally just rig it up so you push the button on the start for the counter with like a light for the strongman to go, and they go, and then you have undeniable results. I mean, my God, at the Olympics for swimming, they designed pressure plates for the athletes to touch to stop the time. You know what I mean? Like, can't we do this, guys? Like, this stuff's important.
Yeah, because that happened at Worlds 2018 too, where like Belsack and Brian had like 0.02 of a second off each other in like the truck pull in the finals. And it's like, why don't we have sensors yet? Super weird.
Seemed like an easy thing to do, in my opinion. And it would. I believe in making things as objective as possible when it comes to this stuff. Certain things like, did he get the lift or not? Those are always going to have a bit of subjectivism to them. You know what I mean? You ask 100 people, you get 101 different answers. Especially on, say, something like a log lift, and specifically strongman, right? Were his elbows really locked out? Did he really have control? Those kinds of questions you could debate all day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general, most judges are pretty fair on that kind of stuff. But we have events where guys are moving. Why aren't we making this as objective as possible? Scientifically doing this. Why aren't we? Is it just a money thing or nobody's thinking about it? I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's all I wrote for the truck pull. That, and like it looked like and even Eddie called out on the commentary that the truck looked crooked.
Yeah.
Especially like during like Luke's run. That it looked really crooked, and like they didn't have control over it, or I don't know what that was.
Instead of being like straight on, it looked like it was like that.
Yeah.
And it was like,
definitely will affect the pull.
And right when he said it, I was like, yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Look at that. It does look like it's a little cockeyed, doesn't it? Like, but and that's one of those things. As long as everybody, so part of me that's why I loved when they did the train pull, because I was like, yes, objective. The train is gonna go straight. There's no questions.
Mm-hmm.
But I also didn't like that they were climbing the ladder, and I remember the one year
Z pulled it out.
Z broke it off the thing, and I was like, guys, that shouldn't happen. Like, come on. So yeah, that's all I have to say about the truck pull. It like you started, interesting event.
And just quick, big shout out to Loz and Eddie for the commentary. They were definitely the best part of the stream.
Oh my God, yeah, I forgot to mention that.
But yeah, the commentary for this was pretty good. I also love that they were both giving them the camera people shit at the show. It's like, we don't want to see shots of the crowd. I'm like, seriously, we don't.
Right.
That was the one thing that pissed me off during the truck pull. During JF's run, they sweep the camera to the crowd for 10 seconds. I'm like, we don't want to see this. I'm trying to see the strongmen.
Crowd sweeps in between competitors and events, I can't say anything about. But don't you dare move the camera from the competitor. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. That happened a couple of times. I'm like, okay, that's a point off.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. So the log lift, do you want to just jump into the big nasty right out of the gate? Or do you want
let's let me just run down once again. Biby showing that he's a beast. He won the event with 5
Jesus.
reps, and he did it without shoes on, which I'm just like,
Jesus.
bold move, sir. I'm like, I
When
bet the floor is hot, and also I'm like, what if that smash? It's like that's my biggest fear, seeing somebody get their feet smashed by one
when
of these implements. But
when BB went up and like Big Z'd the first rep,
yeah,
because Big Z had and has a very, I don't want to say unique way of push pressing, but his leg drive is almost just
non-existent.
to get it started, just to get past his chin. And right when the log is here, the rest of it's straight up. You know what I mean? It's just, and that's just how Big Z do. And when BB did the same thing, I was like, that's the Iron BB everybody's been hyping the fuck up about. And my God, I mean, to first place on that event, his dick was like this big to me. Okay, like, cause holy shit, he smashed it.
I actually didn't think he was going to do that well. I thought it was going to be a cardio thing, but he shut me up. I was like, you know what? Good shit, BB.
Well, and I loved like the big dick energy of it too. When he did 5 and he was like, 5, all right, I'm done. Like
Yeah.
he knew nobody else was going to be able to do that, and he was absolutely correct. So now do we talk about the big nasty?
One other thing before that. Jerry Pritchett might have like kind of messed up his bicep on there. Same with Ramen. So
Yeah.
those were the only other 2 things of note for that. And
Ramen was an interesting character
he
because
was
he kept wrapping his whole upper body up in like ace bandages. It looked like he looked like an anime protagonist, like,
basically.
and it was very strange. And even Eddie was like, "I don't know why the fuck he's doing that. Like, it's weird.
Because
Maybe
he's
it makes
definitely more of a like a power lifter. It seems like that he comes from a powerlifting background.
yeah."
I don't know. You remember 2010 Misha Kokliev, the other Misha, the other Russian?
I love Kuklayev. Yeah, I love that dude.
Yeah, like he was like old school with like the skinny weightlifting belt and like none of this like straps and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's what ramen reminds me of, just old school weightlifting.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just gonna
yeah.
brute force this. I don't need your fancy SBD sleeves and whatnot. I'm
SB
like,
who?
exactly. I'm like, okay, shit, dude. But it looked like he hurt his bicep on it, so that was
Yeah. Which is
unfortunate.
weird. I'm like, how do you hurt your bicep when you're being supported by like ace bandages? But hey,
Yeah.
shit happens, I guess, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
moving into the next bit.
The
Uh
big nasty. So I'll put this out there. We were talking about this before, and this is my opinion on it. When there's an equipment malfunction and an equipment failure, the benefit of the doubt should be given to the athlete, and the overall event should be shunned for that mistake. When we talk about equipment malfunctions, I'm not talking about like an America's Strongest Man where one of the recent one that just happened, they were doing log lifts and somebody put the log down really hard. I don't know if they did it after a lift. I can't remember, but one of the pins on the side of the log had actually bent and they couldn't fix it. They didn't have a spare log, that kind of thing. That kind of equipment malfunction, get the fuck over it. You know, is it going to affect your lift? Probably, but if you're strong enough, you'll be able to get through it no matter what. The kind of equipment malfunctions I'm talking about is like, I don't know, let's say you're doing like a World Log Lift Championships, and let's say you've got like the biggest presser in the world, and let's just say it's Zadrunas Zavickas, and you make a wild plan, like, I don't know, holding it in England, where it's fucking raining all the
torrential
time,
rain.
like all the time. And I don't know, you hold the event outside and the platform is wet. Um, and you are expecting the world's best deadlifter or world's best log lifter to hoist 500 plus pounds over their head on a fucking wet platform. I don't know, this seems like not a great idea to me. Call me crazy. Or here's another one. You have somebody trying to lift a log and the fucking floor is literally breaking underneath their weight. I don't know. That seems to me like something that shouldn't happen. Or am I just crazy?
Yeah, absolutely right. That was such a weird turn of events. Here's my theory, though. Um, I I don't think Brian broke the floor. I think Karan broke the floor right before him, because, and that's another controversial part of this. The log lift. Karan didn't get any. He didn't any. None of his reps got counted, so he got 0.
Mhm.
But on his third lift, he had it up, and he looked like he was about to fall back too, and he dropped it. It didn't hit the tires; it hit the floor. So
Mhm.
I think that started the floor break, and then when Brian got there, it just completely gave out. Which again,
Right.
my other thing is why I get it. They have the VIP section and they want the show to be elevated, but this is strongman. We're lifting tons of weight. Even with the Arnolds, because the floor broke at the Arnolds too. This shouldn't be on a stage. It should be on level flooring.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the floor broke on Brian last year too at WUS. So I'm like, Brian's
Yeah.
cursed.
So for people that have been living under a rock for the last day and a half or whenever this goes up, um, what happened was Brian Shaw, the Brian Shaw, might I remind people, 4-time world's strongest man, was going up to do the log lift, and the log was essentially 400 pounds. It was like 396 or whatever, I think, but it's 400 essentially. And while he was lifting, his first log lift went up like butter. It was easy.
Yep.
And that made me very hopeful for him. I figured he'd get about 4 on that. Well, when he went for his second lift and you watch him do his second lift, something's clearly not right, because right when he did his leg drive, you saw his whole body sort of shift, and it's like, whoa, what's going on?
But he
And then if
got
you
the
look
lift.
down at his feet, you actually see the floor is like this.
Yeah, kind of like doing a curve kind of thing a bit.
Very clearly concave and not level. So then when he went for his third lift, he ended up not being able to make it. So this is where the controversy came from this event, was that Brian started his third lift, his third attempt, and got it pretty close to lockout, but he couldn't quite lock it out because he was very unstable. Later on, it came out that the floor was broken, and what they ended up doing is giving Brian the benefit of the doubt and giving him his third rep. They also said you can go again if you want, but whatever you do in that run is what we're going to give you. So if he went again and got 3, he effectively wasted all that energy for nothing. If he went again and got 4, it would have actually done better for him. But he elected to just take the 3 and go on with his day. Now, a few things here. One, when you run a show, you make the rules. If they decide to say, fuck him, he only gets 2 reps, that's their prerogative. Instead, they elected to give him options and, in my opinion, made the correct call of giving the benefit of the doubt to the athlete that he would have been able to complete the lift had he been on a stable surface, which was the responsibility of the people putting on the competition. They failed in their part. Brian didn't fail in his.
When you watch the other videos, because the stream, if you watch, I've watched it like 8 times. I've watched the stream version, I've watched Brian's video, Eddie's video, Martine's video, all different angles. And it's such an interesting thing. It's like, well, we gave him the benefit of a doubt. And at first I'm like, yeah, okay. This is where me and you was going to disagree. I don't think he should have got the rep. Because watching at all the other angles, he didn't lock it out. He didn't. And this goes back, and I'm a Brian Shaw fan, but he didn't lock it out. And it goes back to Karan, which I mentioned earlier. He did 3 reps. He didn't lock out any of those. They didn't give him any reps. He wasn't stable either. So
Right.
I get that. So if you're going to 0 rep Karan saying he's not stable, Brian wasn't stable. And yes, the floor, it does suck. And it's Brian's call of, I'd imagine he wouldn't want to go. It's hot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot of weight to be like, I'm gonna rest and do it again. Who knows what he would have got.
And let me put it this way. I'm not necessarily okay with them just giving him the third rep. In my opinion, if I had been running the show, I'd have said, look, either you take the 2 reps, we apologize for this inconvenience, or you can go again and whatever you do on the second one, that's what you get. And I'd have given the same deal to anybody who went in that lane. Honestly, I'd have said, if you want to go again, feel free to go again, but whatever you get on that second run or that second attempt, that's what you stay with.
Yeah, after Brian went, they moved the implement back
Right.
away from that spot. So
Yeah, I don't, and let me be clear, I don't necessarily agree with them giving Brian that third rep because, like you said, he didn't lock it out. And I never argued that. The argument that the judges made is that if he had been on a stable flooring, he would have locked it out. I mean, here or there, it's tough to say. I get
the
that.
ref is the final decision.
Right. That's the number one thing. I will die on the hill of they should have given the option of either go again or stick with what you've got. That's the hill I'll die on. And I believe that's fair. I believe it's fair if they give him the option to go again, but you keep your 2 reps right now, or you go again and you do better and you keep those reps. And they give that deal to everybody. I think that would have been, the most intelligent, and fairest way of doing things. I don't necessarily agree with the old school mentality of, oh, well, that's strongman. Like, no, that's bullshit. Equipment failures are bullshit. There should be something that can be done about it to mitigate your failure as a promoter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at the score sheet right here. It's the other thing too was like giving him the 3 reps also, screwed over a couple other people.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, look, according to this, who else got 3 reps? Novikov got 3. Shivlikov also got 3. Yeah. Like, they may be smiling on the inside, but I'd be pissed off. I'm like, what? Now you're sharing the points with more people.
Right.
So,
And
Belshack also got 3. So if he would have got 2 reps, that'd put him down to the points. He would have tied with Tom Stoltman and Rhino Hanla on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, toss up. But again, it's the referee's decision is final. They talked about it. They addressed it as soon as he was done. He didn't sit on it and wait for everybody else to compete and then go back out.
That's the other thing too. I think people are.
He addressed it immediately.
Everybody else could have done the same thing. Like because people like just like you did. I saw some comments online. Well, JF Corona didn't get a single one either. Or are we supposed to just give him all 3 reps? And it's like, well, if JF Corona had gone up and bitched, maybe something would have happened. And that's what I mean when I talk to my Brian Shaw is a consummate professional with this. When something
I don't
is
think
wrong,
the floor broke when it was JF's turn. I don't think it had broken just yet. It was more of a because log press, your feet got to be stable. His feet weren't stable. He was leaning forward a lot, and I saw that in the replays. So, and JF's one of my favorites. So that's a hill I'd die on. But I'm like, I get it. Watching back the play, the different angles, I'm like, he didn't lock. I probably would have gave him his first one, but his second 2, no. And he even pointed to the ref like, "Come on." So, is what it is.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, but what it brings me to is the bigger issue that I have with current states, where there's this old school mentality of where if anything goes wrong, anything at all, it's, oh, well, that's strongman. It's like, no, we need to change that mentality. And I think Brian Shaw, call him a crybaby, call him whatever the fuck you want. He's still one of the strongest men in fucking history. So what does he give a shit what you think? But not you, the royal you. But it's like he calls it out when it's bullshit. And I think more athletes should do that. You're not a diva just because you want things to be right. Yeah. And I think that old school mentality needs to get washed away, because if something bullshit happens, like the stage breaks underneath you, yeah, this shouldn't be. Or if the stage is wet when you're trying to fucking do a 500-pound log lift, yeah, that shouldn't be. If we want this to be treated as a sport, there can still be elements of the circus in it. But if you're having a competition, we need to have standards. And if the standards are failed by the promoter, then that needs to be called out and addressed and fixed. Yes. Again, the hill I'm dying on is not the idea that Brian deserved that third rep. I personally, if I was the promoter, would have said, look, you can go again if you want. If not, stick with your 2 reps. Shit happens. That part of shit happens is fine. But this idea of like, well, shit happens, keep moving. Like, no. We have the time, the ability, you know, to right this wrong. Let's right this wrong. You know what I mean? You know, because even I, like, look, I get it. There's bullshit. Some people, some athletes are just divas. I get that. Not denying that. Could Brian Shaw be seen as one? Sure, why not? But at the same time, when bullshit happens, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, if you don't make any noise, nobody does anything.
This is an interesting part of Strongman, and we get to see this as fans. And I also think it opens a discussion for fans and athletes alike. So if people don't challenge opposition, things won't get changed.
If World's Ultimate Strongman didn't exist, we would still think that World's Strongest Man is a viable format for conducting this particular competition.
Well, that brings me to my next point, which is the next event, the what is it, the yoke race and the shield carry, which
Yeah.
What was up with that log? 300 kilos? Was that like 660, something like that? I'm like, that's like amateur weight.
Oh, the yoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I saw the yoke weight, I was like,
what?
I was immediately like, oh fuck, Brian's not going to do anything, because I was just like, God damn it, 600 pounds. Novikov is going to run it like it's not even there. Maddie's going to run it like it's not even there. You know, all these guys, and Brian's going to just be oafing around with it. And what the fuck happened? Basically,
I
exactly
think
that.
they should have just did the shield carry for distance, loaded up more weight, maybe 20 kilos more, and just do for max distance. We didn't
Because the
need
shield was
a very light CrossFit style yoke. No
well,
need.
the shield was, how much was the shield? The shield was
180.
180, which is like what, barely 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, you realize who these guys are, right? Like,
It was
yeah,
more,
this
we didn't want to damage the stage like last year because that's what happened. The yoke damaged the stage last year. So I bet they were afraid.
600-pound yoke. I mean,
That's
let's see.
amateur weight.
In the 200-pound class, a 600-pound yoke is professional level yoke. Like, you know what I mean? A 200-pound class guy is doing a 600-pound yoke at the top level. Like, you've got monsters. These guys are capable of doing 1,200 pounds. You know what I mean? All of them.
Yeah.
And you got a 600-pound yoke. Interesting event that Maddie ended up getting injured on too. That was strange because watching that clip over and over, I'm like, what the fuck happened here?
It looks like it kind of off his right, kind of slid off the right bicep at the end when he tried to put it down.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no.
Such
That
a
was so
strange,
sad.
a strange way to injure himself. I mean, it happens. I mean, biceps are pretty small muscles, so. But it was so weird how it happened because you didn't expect it.
Another thing that I noted was JF. Okay, so the stream started stuttering really badly, starting with the yoke part. And JF went first, and his side was stuttering. And it was like, oh, he stage dived for the finish line. Go back and you watch that shit on Brian's channel. Go back and watch it on any Strongman channel. He was tripped by the mat dude. He didn't stage dive. You go to the end. There's a dude holding a mat. So if the shield falls, they put it in front. So I guess the mat doesn't damage the stage. The dude throws the mat at the finish line, and JF falls over the line. And I'm like, did he trip him? What the hell was
Oh my
that?
God.
And it only happened during JF's run. So I don't know if they didn't tell the spotter don't do that or what, but it
Don't
only
do that.
happened. It only happened to JF. It was like, he stage dive. I'm like, go back. He was tripped.
You feel like when
It's
something
like,
like that happens, you don't have to tell them don't do that. Like, hey,
but yeah,
in the
don't
rules
do that.
meeting when we're talking to the spotters and the loaders, remind me to tell them don't trip the athlete.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a bullet point. Don't trip anybody. Okay? Don't do it. I know you're gonna want to, but don't. Okay?
And another controversy with that, I read it down. So Rano didn't, according to the judges, did not complete the run. They said he didn't cross the line when he dropped the shield. it's weird because none of the YouTube channels have like footage of him crossing the line because it was like an either or. But they said he didn't complete the run and dropped the shield before the finish line. So I'm checking the shield. I mean the sheet right now. What did Rhino get on this? Yeah, it says did not finish 28 meters. And like they asked him in I think maybe the Stoltman's or Martine's video, he was like, they said I didn't complete the course. So I gotta go back and watch that over. So that was a bit weird.
Yeah, because I
WUS
remember
needs
him.
to work on their rules and their staff on stage.
Staff and apparently the stage itself. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't have implements breaking on people. That's my big thing because it's dangerous too. It's very dangerous for the athletes. Because these are athletes. It's the bottom line. And the way I talk about this stuff, if I was saying these things about a basketball player, nobody would bat a fucking eye. If I was like, hey, the court shouldn't just break on somebody, everybody would be like, yeah, no shit. But somehow I say that about Strongman, and it's a controversial statement.
You need to man the fuck up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, guys, I want Strongman to be looked at like basketball, like football, like soccer, as one of the best important sports in the world. And if we treat it that way, it'll go a long way towards it actually being respected as that.
Yeah.
But if you keep treating it like the backyard circus, well, how do you think people are going to treat it?
That is true. That's why I can't. And if you watch my videos, I put a lot of hype into what's like it's gonna be bigger than World. And I'm really
Yeah.
excited. The hype was still there, and it was a really decent show. But cameras, stream quality, and equipment failures and judges
Yeah.
is what knocked it down points for me. And
Yeah.
I don't want to like put blame on a specific group of people as to why that is. Things happen. Some on days things just don't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But last year, again, this is my speculation. Darren, uh, Sadler, and Colin Bryce were refs, and they were working with the show. This year they weren't, and they elected to go with Strongman Champions League, which is Marcel Merstat and Ilka Kinnunen. I'm not saying this is on them, but I feel like Colin and Darren have a tighter control on this is what staff should do. This is what refs should do.
Yeah.
So that could be a factor as well. Again, I'm not placing blame on SCL. It's just an observation that I had as somebody who watches both Giants live shows and SCL shows.
There's a correlation to be made here for sure. It doesn't equal causation, but it's certainly like these guys were here and this was good. These guys weren't here and it was not so good.
Yeah. I'm not saying Stand Up Submit's bad or anything like that. It's just Colin's been doing this since before I was born. So, yeah. He's got a more of a handle on this than most people do.
Right. Yeah, I'll give my out of 10 once we talk.
Yeah.
I think we've exhausted everything on the yoke now, right? I mean, other than that, there wasn't much to it. I mean, the fast guys were fast and the slow guys were slow.
Yeah, Radzikovsky was pointing to his bicep. I kind of figured that was going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Other than that, on the yoke, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, Novikov, Maddie, they're both freak beasts and fast as fuck. There's just no two ways about it. They basically ran the whole way.
Yep.
Brian is still slow. His cardio has definitely gotten way better, though. His speed's not there. His agility's not there.
It looked like he was running in the mud, basically.
Right, but the fact that when he finished the 10-stone run, he wasn't even really out of breath.
Yeah.
So his conditioning has definitely gotten better. He's just not agile yet, which I don't know if I'm not going to tell him how to live his life. That man knows, but maybe an agility coach or something like that might not be a bad idea. So I guess on to the world record
final event.
Run.
Yes,
the
world record Atlas stone run.
Yeah.
Another bicep killer. Rads, Biby. Pritchett did decent on that. Yeah. I was sad when like Rads went to pick up the first one and he's like the bicep. I'm like, no, my
Yeah.
Polish boys, no.
Very brutal event. Brian, when he did those 10 stones in just over a minute, it made me feel really good about Brian's future. He needed that. I needed that as a Brian fan to know that he's still got that. And the fact that a lot of people are having trouble doing them, and he looked like Brian. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And not to be outdone, fucking, when who was that? Which Stoltman was that?
Tom,
Tom.
spicy Tom Stoltman.
When Tom Stoltman stepped up, I was like, this should be interesting, and decimated the time by 20 seconds. Wow. Just because when they first said it, I heard the Loz and Hall were talking, and they thought it was 47, and I was like, no man, he said 40.7.
Yeah.
40.7 seconds for 10 stones. The man is a machine. He cannot be stopped. Wow.
He is. Yeah, I'm saying it. He's the king of the stones.
I mean, there's no question now.
He has the in Scotland. He has the Arbler Stones record, which he broke 2 times this year,
Yes.
and now he has the Atlas Stone record. So
I would say, and I'll put this crazy statement out there. I believe Matty could give him a run for his money.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Mateusz came out there to do them, he had his right arm all wrapped up, like a mummy. But watch him do those stones. Everybody else did kind of the whole hip back hinge movement thing. He just front squatted every single stone that he did.
Well, he did it because of his injury. Because we've seen it in like Giants Live. He won motions those first. He normally just won motions those first ones, but this time he did the smart professional thing to do. He took his time. He knew what he had to do to keep his first place. He asked Martins, he asked Z, he asked Eddie, what should I do here? And he did the smart and professional thing, and hopefully he didn't injure it more. I've never seen a man work harder, for money.
Right.
in recent years, and he earned that $75,000 prize.
Oh yeah, I mean, but just how easy it was for him, even with a busted bicep. Just blew my mind. The damn things weren't even there for him. The hard part was literally just the fact that he's trying to do it with 100% one arm and like 10% one other arm. That was the whole.
Basically one-handed, and I'm like, geez, man, I can't even get one off the floor.
You know what I mean? It just the dude's a freak. I mean, and I would love to see a healthy Mateusz versus a healthy Tom. I think that would be a hell of a match, because the way he handled it. You know what I'd really like to see? I'd like to see how Tom handles that natural stone at the Arnolds.
If they bring it back.
I mean, honestly, I think it'd be cool if they did bring it back. I love that old school strongman shit.
But you know what? We keep talking about baby brother. We ain't talking about big brother. What about Luke Stoltman? He surprised me. I didn't have him in my top 5 bracket at all. I thought he was going to do mid-pack.
Very much dark horse right there, who just came out of nowhere. But it's so
he's
funny.
He's a great log presser.
Yeah, it's funny because you look at the points leading up, and it's like, well, no shit, he's going to do fine. But like every event, I found myself, much like you, just not really putting him in there. But then it's like after every event, it was like, oh no, he's high mids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he just needs to bring up his deadlift, just like Tom did. He needs to bring up his deadlift. Yeah. And truck pull, that was very hit or miss for everybody, but he was up there for the rest of it. I keep confusing the two, and I feel bad. Luke is a great log presser.
Yes.
He's got that. It's weird. He's not short, but he's stocky.
Yeah.
But he has that great pressing power overhead. And he's fast and he's great on stones, just like Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and my God, what a cool experience that must be. Like, you're both your brothers, and you're both literally right now top three, top two in the world at what you do.
That has to be a great feeling, They bring second and third back to Scotland. Their dad
Right.
must be super proud of both of them. Like that's an awesome sight.
Yeah, I mean, and to share that experience too, to be on the podium with your brother, I mean, that's just got to be so cool.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I can't even imagine what their whole family must feel like. I mean, that kind of pride, um, man, it's just you can't put that into words. I don't think. And to talk just below the podium, Brian, solid fourth.
Getting back there.
It's a step in the right direction. Injuries happen, I'm and to harp on him a little more, but I'm glad Brian didn't come home with an injury from this.
Yes.
I'm glad he managed to stay healthy because that definitely increases his odds of doing well in Santa Monica. Which, have you heard him talk about doing that show?
No, it was mostly just him focusing on, doing press appearances, whatever he's doing, and Dubai. So
Because I
hopefully in the next couple of weeks he'll go home, readjust, take some time off or whatever, because the holidays are coming up, and then go back into training.
Yeah, so I guess gun to my head, if I were to rank it top 10 or out of 10, I would say for this particular show, I would probably give it a 7.
I'm saying with you, 7, because live stream could be better.
Yeah.
Audio and technical issues could have been better.
Yes.
And that's the other thing too. Laws's mic was very low, or I don't know if it was him having it up to his face or what.
Yeah.
That should have been sorted out.
Yeah, you
Uh,
should have somebody there checking levels and making sure everything is the final product heading out the door, especially if you're charging for it, should be perfect.
yeah.
Honestly. Um,
I had walked away at one point. I came back during the start of day two. It was like, can we turn down the MC? Because at one point he
yes.
was loud as fuck, and I'm like, jeez.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I
Right to
didn't
the point.
comment on him. It's just like some people liked him. I missed the dude from last year, Radzis. I thought he was a better MC.
I
He
didn't.
wasn't
So
as cringy in my opinion because it's just like keep hearing Dubai, show him some love. It was like, all right, dude, calm down.
yeah, he was a decent hype man, but he wasn't really emceeing. Mild critique of, say, Arnold Classic would be that, where they do have Mark Henry a lot of times on the mic, and Mark can be very charismatic, but on occasion, and on a few years I've watched, I've just been like, Mark, will you shut the fuck up?
I feel like Mark speaks before he thinks about what he's going to say. It's
Yes.
just like, oh boy.
Sometimes it's just like, Mark, just shut up.
And I
Because
get it. It's hard to be on a hot mic for like 8 or so hours, and
right,
you either have that charisma or you don't. I'm not saying I can do this job. Absolutely not.
right.
It's just hard, and it's kind of hard when like the crowd's not with it because it was a small crowd in Dubai, so it was kind of hard to get the Dubai. Let's hear some love. And it was just like if there's like 10 people in the crowd, no,
All
no.
15 of
It's
you, start cheering.
it's like the teacher coming into the class like, "Good morning, good morning." I said good morning. I don't need that. Like,
Right,
no.
right. Like, a good MC should be hyping up the hype moments. Your job is to take a moment that everybody already accepts is a 9 and turn it up to 11.
Mhm.
And this guy, I don't know his name. He does.
Billy Garin, I think it is. Yeah, he's an MMA announcer.
Yeah,
So it's just like, okay, not the sport you typically MC in.
right. And that's the misstep in a lot of things with strongman, in my opinion. They say, oh, that guy's an announcer, a sports announcer. He'll do. And it's like, no. You need somebody who lives for this shit. You need
You
Lawrence
can't get
Chalet.
you can't get John Madden to like, commentate on like ballet or ice skating. They should have got the guy who does the Giants live shows. What is it, Neil Pickup? He's also like a arm wrestling announcer, but he knows what he's talking about when it comes
Right.
to strongman. But again, that might be a whole Giants Live. We're not going to help out this year. Who knows? They should have got him. Or
Yeah.
Radzies. I liked him.
Or who?
Radzies. That's the guy who did the show last year. Yes, he got info wrong, but again, it's hard to be on a hot mic for 8 hours.
Right, and that's my thing. Like when I was knocking Mark Henry, it wasn't because he was being wrong. I don't care if they're wrong. Like you get wrong information, you spout wrong information, you make mistakes. That's gonna
I don't
happen.
know. Some of those name pronouncers is giving me like a stroke, and it's just like, what?
Yeah, there's so some of that where I'm like, Mark, just don't bother. Just give him initials,
Seriously.
Just and here comes MK ready to do this.
Yeah.
Like, just give me that, dude. But no, like that, knock him on that. But I'm saying like, if the time is wrong and things like that, I'm never gonna knock an announcer for that sort of thing. You know what I mean? We need guys like Eddie Hall, guys like God damn. I mean, Robert Oberst would be amazing as an announcer at one of these shows. He's got voice, he's got the appearance, he's also done all these events, not nearly as well as everybody else, but he's done them. And I think he would be an amazing MC. He's charismatic.
Oh yeah, if they put him on the CBS version, that'd probably actually get people to watch.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Arnold's right now, in my mind, is still number one. I'm gonna actually put them at about an 8. Because the problems they have are sort of, it's almost like personal opinion problems. You know what I mean? This is something we could have a large debate about, the announcers and how the show is run, that kind of thing. I think it's very well run. I think they treat the athletes amazingly. I think it's a great show. I think the events are amazing and good. I'm going to give that an 8, 8.5, almost even 9 out of 10. I mean, there's just some things where they did have a stage malfunction last year, which is something that I don't believe should happen, but it did. So that's definitely points off there. And then Dubai is in second place for me right now because, honestly, the streaming really rubbed me the wrong way because I'm paying for a streaming service. I should get a streaming service.
Yes.
And the turnaround on that stream should be immediate. I don't understand why I have to wait an hour or even 2 hours or even 1 minute for it to come back. You know what I mean? That stuff doesn't happen on YouTube or most streaming platforms. Twitch even, it's just there once the stream is done.
So you rank WUS above Giants Live. Do you have official Strongman?
No, specifically World's Strongest Man.
No, but I'm saying, do you have the Giants Live service, their live stream service, where they live stream
No, I don't.
Verdens? Okay. Because that's what changes my my opinion on WUS a bit. So I would put Arnold's. I'd give Arnold's a 9. I'm only not gonna their streams are on YouTube. They're free. I'd actually pay for it. I'm saying that I would. Their streams are good. They're on time, which is also a plus. They actually run on time. They say we're coming back at 2:00. They come back at 2:00. Outside of their announcers, that show is great. Then I am going to say Giants Live.
Gotcha.
As much as I hyped up WUS, Giants Live is still better at their live streams because I just got their live streams. I'd give them an 8.5 solely because I had problems with their payments, getting my credit card to work on their website. They don't start on time, but their streams are at least in HD. So that's good. And, they have multiple cameras set up backstage where the guys are warming up. The shows are shot decently. There have been times where it's too many crowd shots or having a camera pointed at the ceiling, but it's good and it runs. And then I would say WUS because we only paid $2 or whatever for the stream. It was in 540. As right now, as we're recording this, the playbacks are still in 540. And I'm looking right now, and it looks like all 3 parts of the main show are up now. That I can tell. It looks like, the log, truck pull, deadlift, all of that stuff is there now. Still only in 540.
Yeah.
So I'd give them a 7. A 7.5. solid 7.5. Things could be worked on. Commentary was great. The experience for the strongman and all the great content we're getting as fans is good. They're not at the tippy top just yet, but they can get there. Maybe give it 2 years. They can get there. And they're responding to fan feedback.
Yeah.
So that's a positive. I'm also going to say this. The stream that we had for WUS Dubai is what I could see if Worlds finally got their head out their asses and produced the live stream. This is the quality I would probably put Worlds live stream on if they ever decided to do a stream. This is the quality I could see them doing. You know, it has its technical hiccups. Maybe the stream's not up to par depending on what part of Africa they pick to go to next year, but it's a stream. So I say use this as a template for if Worlds ever decides to do a live stream.
Yeah. So I don't have any experience with Giants Live. I thought about getting their service. I mean, if you think it's worth it, then I'll jump on it and check it out. I was speaking specifically of World's Strongest Man as a show, being a shit show.
Okay.
But Giants Live, I don't have any experience with it. I probably should start checking it out, I guess.
Yeah, they're showing the official Strongman games next week, which I don't necessarily watch those just because there's too many athletes and it's all over the fucking place, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, what is it? Next week I've got right here in Daytona, they're doing the what one are they doing? Nick Best is going to be here. I know that. So I think they're doing Masters something.
Yeah, that's OSG.
Oh, okay.
That's the official Strongman game. What is it, like 8 titles up for grabs? So
gotcha.
Masters, 105s, everything that's not World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
You know, World's Strongest Women's, all of that. So that's official Strongman games.
Check that out. I'm gonna go hang out there.
Okay.
It's Daytona's like 30 minutes from where I live, so I'll be there. I can, let you know how everybody's doing. My girlfriend loves Nick Best. She just loves him. She always does that little, she loves him. I'm like, yeah, he's cool. And so she wants to go there just to try to meet him. I don't know who else is going to be there. I think
Terry Hollins.
Gotcha. Cool.
He's also Terry and Mark Felix are both going to do Masters.
Oh, that'd be really cool. Some local guys I know are going to be there. One of the I think Richie Stout is going to be there, which is very exciting. This is like his comeback to try to get his title back for the he does 175s.
Okay.
And then I want to say a local kid. He's like 2 years younger than me. Zach Schultz. I believe he's doing the 200 pounds. Go at that. I believe he's doing that competition at the 200s. Those are local guys I know around here. I don't know. I don't think Anthony's doing it.
Really? Wow. I thought he was.
I don't. Well, his knee is real goofy, so he's picking and choosing what comps he does. But I know if he does it, he's probably going to do 231s. If he does it instead of heavyweights like he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say check out his Instagram to stay on top of that. Other than that, I don't remember any other local guys. I don't know if Rich Hughes doing it. I'm just going over like local guys I know. I can't think of any other locals that I know that are going to be there. Okay. But I'll definitely be out there at least one of the days, either Saturday or Sunday. I said I've got a stone delivery to do this weekend, so God knows when I'll have time to run out there. But I definitely want to check it out for a little bit.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, it's in an arena, and they made us buy tickets. So by that logic,
it's 3 days, right? So there you go.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think they're doing like one event on Friday, a couple events on Saturday, and then a couple events on Sunday. I think that's how they're doing it.
Okay.
So I'm probably just gonna make the Sunday show, but that's all right by me. I don't need to watch the whole thing. I'm not. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a glancing interest.
Yeah.
In that particular part of the sport.
I get you. Yeah, I can't follow everything.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's
so Once again, final thoughts. Whoosh, you said 7 out of 10.
I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 would do again.
Yep, same for me. I hope they improve next year, take fan feedback into account, and what is they gonna have like 3? You brought the year too, right? I brought the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're gonna have Middle Eastern Strongest Man and Woman in December, and then 2 shows I think in March and April next year. So right now I'm gonna call it. But once again, Will, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm glad we can give our thoughts on the show. Once again, thank you to Will for being on the podcast and chatting with me on WUS Dubai. Please check out his YouTube channel to see what he's up to and his soon-to-be masterclass on Atlas stone making. You can also follow him on Instagram at Will Development and check out his Amazon store. All the links will be in the description below. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at EastWolfStyle for more strongman and cool collectibles. And lastly, share this podcast with your friends. It is also available to listen to on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you made it all the way to the end of this podcast, thank you all for listening and have a great day.